Welcome to the Amy McManus Show. I have two special guests here with me this morning. Jim Ostrowski, attorney from the Buffalo area, is with me, as well as Janice Volk, who's going to be sharing some interesting information with us this morning. Thank you both for joining me.
Great to be here.
Janice, a lot of news this past week. Tell us a little bit, just give us a little synopsis of what has most recently happened. I'm sure most people know that you had intended on running on the Tea Party line. Let us know, before we get into the backstory of why that occurred, let us know how that has panned out and what your current status is now as a candidate for the 29th District.
Okay. First of all, I was running on the Republican ticket, and Mr. Quinlan challenged the petitions for that. And what happened in a nutshell was that I didn't have enough funds to throw at that challenge, so I was thrown off the ballot. Then the Tea Party Coalition had asked if they could help me out, and I accepted that help. Very grateful for the help, and I was running on the Tea Party Coalition line, which is also an independent line. So I took that help, and with that, we were trying to get 3,500 signatures within about 10 days, which most people will say was an impossibility. It was about 400 signatures a day that we'd have to get. With a handful of people, we had about 10 helpers for this beautiful district, as big as it is, and time ran out on me. So come Tuesday, this past Tuesday was the deadline, and we were here in Hornell, and we're still gathering signatures, and I had people stopping at my home in Cuba, dropping off signatures, and it was just too late. Now, I wouldn't say too little, because I've even gotten some delivered today, as a matter of fact, and it's so frustrating because the count that I had in Hornell was very small, but by the time the night wore on and the morning wore on, we got up to 4,200 signatures.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That is truly amazing. Janice, tell us a little bit about why those petitions were thrown out, and then we'll go to Jim to help us a little bit. Apparently, the specific rules are that there must be some fraud, or the tendency to believe that perhaps there is fraud. And your contention is that there was no fraud, that the petitions were thrown out for frankly silly reasons. And for the record, the head of the Cattaraugus County Tea Party Coalition declined to appear on this program, as well as candidate Tom Reed never returned our request for an interview. So I just want to get that out of the way. Tell us about the specific petitions and how it came about that you found out that they were no good, and the things that happened after that.
Well, I was supposed to be notified by mail that there was a challenge, a general challenge, and then there is a specific challenge. Those specifics came from Mr. Quinlan, and some of those specifics were so general, like Gowanda, no such town or city, which we would have a chance to correct. We are normally given 3 days to correct these types of things, and someone not signing a junior or senior after their name, even though their registration card did not have the junior or senior attached to it at the time that they registered, or people putting in zip codes where the city or town should be posted, technicalities like that. Most of you may not know that with the election law from 1976, the provisions had been recoded and throughout the years repealed, resulting in a lot of reenacting of the chapters and subdivisions. And what has happened is that it's progressively gotten almost impossible for an ordinary citizen to play by those rules.
Mm-hmm. And there's no indication of fraud. I mean, these were just mistakes. So how does it's 4 people, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans. How if there is I'm assuming there's a rule book to play by. How do they go from what the average person would look at it and say, oh, this was just somebody's mistake, to claiming that there's fraud, because that's the only reason they can throw out the petition.
Right. The commissioners, again, you're right, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, would sit there, and although Mr. Quinlan came up with 203 or thereabouts, the commissioners had done their review, and they had come up with 118 that they were questioning. Again, small details like city, state, and things like that, which we would have had the chance to correct. They could decide right then and there whether the tendency or the trend was going to be too little, too late to correct, or they could have just said, yes, you're on the ballot. But what ends up happening is that out of the 118, my camp went over each and every one of them, and we were able to make the corrections and justify the corrections on all but 22 of them. And we had an Ontario chairperson that had written on 33 of our signatures, saying that, which would invalidate them also. He had written and read all over my petitions and even signed it. So, it was technicalities such as that. They threw those out and told me that since the general trend was that I would not have enough, from what it seemed at that point, that they weren't going to even allow me the 3 days to correct what we thought we could correct.
Mm-hmm. Let me go to Jim now. Jim, what is the reasoning behind any commission to just arbitrarily tell someone, okay, we're not going to give you those 3 days to correct this? Is there any?
Well, I believe that we did send in some corrections, but by the time they get in, the board, I think, had already ruled. And you only have 3 days to go to court, and you have to go to court before you even get the detailed rulings. It's really, the whole system is designed to keep people off the ballot. That's what people have to understand. And it's not even a question of, did they correctly apply their own rules in striking certain signatures? Well, in some cases they did. In some cases, I think it's debatable. But you have to understand the whole point of the election law is to keep people off the ballot. If we have one of the toughest election laws in the country, just the number of signatures they require.
Right.
And the various technicalities, such as you must put your town instead of a village, and judges will strike a signature if you list your village. And so the point of the election law is to keep people off the ballot. That's why if you look at the various races, you'll find very few people running in the primary.
Right.
And that's where most of the decisions are made, because most of the districts in New York State in the legislature are one-party districts. For example, the Louise Slaughter district, which I was in the appellate division in yesterday. It's a one-party district, and she's trying to knock her Democratic opponent off the ballot. I'm representing him, trying to get him on the ballot.
Mm-hmm. And whereas this area here is primarily Republican as well, so those that have the Republican power are going to try to get any upcoming Republicans off as well.
Exactly. And who has the ability to send people to Albany to spend several days and have the expertise to go over signatures? It's what we call the machine. Mm-hmm. So the machine is the group that knocks people off the ballot. They've written the rules. They understand them. They have the leisure time, which most of us do not have because we have to work for a living.
Right.
So a lot of people don't quite understand what went on here, and they say, well, if she didn't get the signatures, she didn't get the signatures. They're missing the point. The point is the system is rigged to make sure that the voters don't have a choice, and that should make people really upset.
Right, right. Jim, I'll come back to it in a little bit. I did want to kind of switch topic a little bit with you, Janice.